Alrighty, friends, we are back. It's your favorite podcast of the week. This is Location Weekly. We're recording episode number 713, and we're doing this on April the 24th. Rob Woodbridge is here with me. As you can see, it is the Battle of Ontario. No, I didn't wear my Leaf jersey, but I have a Leaf hat on. He's got a Ottawa Senators jersey. It's game three tonight in Ottawa. It's basically do or die for the
Do or
Senators, right?
die,
Yeah,
for
I mean,
sure.
because the
Do or
Leafs are
die.
up 2-0 in the best of seven already. So let's see what happens. But yeah, it's going to be a game.
21 years since the last time that these two teams met. I can't believe that.
Yeah, yeah. Did you see like the pundits are predicting it'll be a Leafs Edmonton Stanley Cup?
No,
I can't imagine that. But anyhow.
I can't imagine that either. I can't imagine that. There's a lot of distance between two games into the
Yeah,
playoffs and the
yeah,
Stanley
yeah,
Cup finals.
yeah. I mean, as much as I'm a Leaf fan, I will Maple Leaf license plate, all of that. I'm still skeptical until they get through the first round. And then I'll, really heat up. But I've watched both games. Like they were really good games,
Well, like for
especially the
you,
second one.
the second one was really good. Like that
Yeah,
was like I
yeah.
mean, if from an Ottawa Senators standpoint, I mean they haven't made the playoff in 8 years. They haven't had a lot of success in the playoffs. This is a playoff starved team, and they made the playoffs. It's just not good enough. And like they have to win a game, uh, or else it doesn't count, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just four extra losses. But I would tell you that the game one was like get the nerves out. They lost 6-2. Game two, they just continued. They were down 2-0 and they fought back and then lost in overtime 3-2. So like that's a pretty dramatic
It's
improvement.
trending in the right direction. Is
Trending in
that
the
what you're
right
saying,
direction.
Rob?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll see what
That's
happens.
the way the games go.
We'll see what
They have to
happens. We'll see
trend in
what
the right way.
happens.
Well,
Anyhow, all right. Well, we have four stories to cover this week, and I'll let Rob kick it off.
yeah, I just wanted to know, you've been in business for yourself, you've been in business with other people. Have you ever aspired to be the CEO of an established company? Have you?
No.
Well, no. I think there was one time. There's one time when I was much younger. I drive down the Queensway here, which is our highway in Ottawa, and there's this giant gold building, and on the top of that building was this sign that said Corel. And Corel used to be
Hmm.
the dominant design tool, like before Photoshop. They bought WordPerfect before Word was out. And Mike Copeland was the CEO of that company. And I used to think, God, that's what I want. I want to be the CEO of that gold building. And when the sun would set, it would like flash and it would blind all the drivers down the highway. So they had to make it pink so that it wouldn't blind the drivers. But that was probably the only time I wanted to be CEO of a company until this moment. I want to be the CEO of Jack in the Box, but not really the CEO of Jack in the Box. Inside of Fortnite, I want to be the CEO of Jack in the Box. And that is what I'm talking about. They've created a Fortnite collaboration featuring mascot Jackbox inside the game of Fortnite. Players compete with in Jack's CEO mini games to progress from a lowly intern to the CEO through 7 random mini games. So this is a way, obviously, of associating a is Fortnite still the brand? Like my kids still play Fortnite for sure, but is it still the brand that it once
I,
was?
yeah, I don't know that it is. I mean, I haven't heard a lot about it lately, but
Nope.
let's see.
Well, this might turn the tide for it, right? This might be the thing. Either bring Jack in the Box back into focus, or bring Fortnite back into focus. And so players actually, you can play up to 12 players simultaneously. You can inside of the environment. They've got Jack in the Box menu items like their curly fries and tacos, and then ultimately what happens there's a bunch of promotions that happen. So this is probably what they're doing, promoting, including new promotions, including exclusive wearable a jack head for characters. And so that's in the restaurant, and you'll be able to get that be able to put that into your Fortnite under your Fortnite character. And then this is the pinnacle here is one lucky player who reaches the CEO status can win free what? Free what? Jack in the Box for a year by sharing their win on social media. So you attain the CEO through the 7 stages, playing all the games, and then you post it on the social media, and they're going to pick one person to get free Jack in the Box for a year. I mean, this is this interesting? Is this new? Like, I think that this is a pretty
Yeah, I'll say this. I mean, I think if you're a Jack in the Box fan, like if you like to eat at Jack in the Box, there's going to
yes.
be a group of people out there who will jump into this thing and go, all in as hard as they can to try and be the CEO and get free Jack in the Box for the year. Like that stuff works. Like we know there are people who will do that. The question for me is what's the goals of this campaign? Are they trying to bring new people in? Are they trying to reach a younger demographic? Or, what are the objectives, by doing this in Fortnite? Like, and to your early comment, I haven't heard a lot about, companies or brands teaming up with Fortnite lately. Roblox, yes, there's been a fair bit of that. Decentraland early on, some of that. But this whole sort of brands jumping into the metaverse and having a second sort of,
Life.
presence,
Yes.
has quieted down a little bit. And I think,
Yeah.
the only ones that where it works really well, whereas there's an overlap between the physical world and the virtual world, and you can tie the two together. So we'll see. I don't know.
One of the
We
little
don't have Jack in
insiders.
the Box here, so I
No,
have nothing to worry about.
no, it's exactly that. So I'll never aspire and never attain the CEO of Jack in the Box because we don't have it here. But what they were, I wonder, there's part of this story was really about food prompts inside of games, and would it actually lead to the gamer wanting to order more food or some food from Jack in the Box? So do they respond well to the brand, and then they're like, hey, listen, I'm just playing. Yeah, get some curly fries from Jack in the Box. Like maybe that's it just seems so old school, right? Like traditional, I would say. Can't believe this is a traditional thing. But who knows? I got to figure out how to get my Jack head without having to go to Jack in the Box. There's got to be somewhere I can pay for it. So if you know where I can pay for it online, I'd like to buy the Jack head for my son, whose name is Jack. So it would be
There you go.
appropriate. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Jack in
All
the
right.
Box.
Moving on to our second story now. So a while back, Abran and I actually talked about the FCC coming down hard on the mobile operators in the US with fines and sanctions and things for misuse of location data, selling location data
What? Wait,
in ways they
what?
shouldn't have.
Sounds
So
shocking.
yeah. But a recent ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals in the Fifth Circuit has vacated a $57 million fine imposed by the FCC on AT&T. And so a win for industry, maybe. Maybe not so much for the consumers, but a win for industry here as they fought back and don't have to pay. Like it's an interesting one. I think, over the years, even going back to when you and I, started this show, there were, fines, there were things against the mobile operators. It's not a new thing. They're always happening. Um, and it's this sort of push-pull thing of how much can they do, how much can they get away with, how much revenue can they generate, how much value is there to the consumer, to the point where it gets to, where some government official, some, agency gets on their soapbox and they're like, no, that's enough. We're fining you, we're banning you, we're changing legislation in this area. So a win for the industry side. I think for consumers, um, it means that, these agencies like the FCC need to need to look at different kinds of penalties, need to look at better oversight, I think, in advance of these things happening. Um, and I don't have much more to say about it, but I think it's an important topic to make sure that it's regulated properly and there's proper transparency on the use of this data in our industry.
Yeah, sometimes like decisions made in business get in the way of growing a business, right? And I remember talking about this all the time with you, and hearing it many times on the podcast. Like the challenge is always like, what do you want to be known as? And one big piece of everything that we do has to be that our customers trust us, right, as businesses. And if you can't, because there's some backhanded shady dealings going on, or you're saying one thing and doing another, like this is it comes back to bite you all the time. So whether a lawsuit gets thrown out or a fine gets thrown out, it like you end up still being tainted by it all, right? And that's the challenge that you have to do. Like if I'm getting old now, so I start to think always in doing good instead of doing what's good for you. And I think that this is really one of those instances. It just, I mean, if you were a victim of anything where your data was sold or it was compromised in any way, you just you have to protect yourself, and your companies, the companies that we rely on, should be doing that for us. That's what
There you go.
I just
You
wish.
heard it here from Mr. Woodbridge himself.
That's right,
It's
Mr.
got to happen.
Woodbridge.
Yes, Mr.
Come
Woodbridge.
on.
All right.
Well, hey, listen, I spend a lot of time in up here in Canada. Their postal codes, US, their zip codes. I spend a lot of time deciphering delivery data. That is what I do all day. I'm so tired of it, and so thank you for the story, Asif. It's a great story.
Well, Rob, it's usually when Aubriana's here, or when you were there before Aubriana, I always give you the pizza stories,
Yeah,
but now you
exactly.
get the delivery stories. So, but they're kind of related because in pizza you have delivery. So,
It's so true. Like, yeah, there's a progression here, and I don't know what's next. But this is an interesting story because we struggle with this at Trek City all the time around delivery and postal codes. So postal codes and zip codes work, man. Like it is the thing that everybody relies on. So the entire North American mail system is built on postal and zip codes. And pricing is based on postal and zip codes. Availability of product, when you have a company like Walmart, which we're going to talk about, who has multiple locations in a city in different zip codes, it becomes a challenge of product availability. And so zip codes are wonderful in their use of defining a city and addresses. They're terrible in use of understanding delivery in zones, right? So there are many times where we deliver to one house on on a street, and we don't deliver to the next house beside it because it's in a different postal code, and it's illogical, right? And so we've tried many ways to solve this problem, and Walmart is looking at a different way as well. And Walmart has implemented this customized geospatial technology to remap delivery zones. And it's really, the challenge is always going to be, there's a reason behind it. It's always going to be about improving their efficiency. So the thinking here is that instead of using zip codes to define delivery zones or pickup zones or anything around a store, they're going to use this geospatial technology. It's hexagonal grids that are like little pixels, the way they describe it, like pixels in a photograph, and it's all data driven. So it's real-time data that includes things like well, like obviously distance and slot availability and drive time and store capacity and customer demand, and it's going to define a delivery area in the store. Now, what's this might sound ho-hum and boring, but what it really is interesting is when you have a place or a store like Walmart, who has maybe multi-stores, and inventory from one store is not available in another store. And if you, as a consumer, you want to buy something from Walmart for delivery, you're confined to that one Walmart that you would get delivery from. But this opens up opportunities for multi-store pickup for single orders, which I think is really, really, really cool. And that kind of eliminates this need for a warehouse. I mean, it's Trek City, but we look at all these merchants like Walmart or like small businesses everywhere, Main Street USA, Main Street Canada, their stores are warehouses. And so how do you eliminate the middle person, which is a warehouse, and just ship directly from a store? And that's what I think this technology that they're building here really does help enable, because if I'm a courier or I'm a customer and I can order from a Walmart and I just order from it and it's not available in store A, but it's available in store B. I can go to store A, pick up what I got there, go to store B, pick up what I got there, and then deliver it to me as a consumer and do it without having to send it to a sorting facility. 2 days later, it arrives on my doorstep, get it the same day. That is a killer, killer, killer tool. And I think that nobody better to build this kind of infrastructure than Walmart. And we all know what they've done in the delivery and the retail space. They've made such huge advances, and now people have really begun to rely on Walmart and Walmart delivery. So really cool, really neat technology. Let's see how it works. And I'll just leave it by saying, like, down with zip codes, down with zip codes, down with zip codes.
Yeah, well, it's I think it's really cool what they're doing here. It reminds me, going back again, in time here, we, our old friends at Place IQ, which
Yes.
is no longer, had built their sort of geo-targeted marketing system based on, a grid as well. So they had built, taken the whole of the US and broken it into 3 meters by 3 meters square grids. And then looked at, devices inside of those grids, and where they moved from one grid to another grid and how you could, do personalized and targeted marketing based on that. So, it's, what's old is new again. It's just a
Yeah.
different application of a grid system, and obviously there's other, things out there like what three words, as a different way to address spaces as opposed to zip codes or postal codes. But I like what they're doing here. I think it makes sense. And I think the key thing here, as you've already alluded to, is, or at least from the story, they're saying that, this allows them to reach an additional 12 million households without the need to build new super centers, because essentially what they're doing is they're unlocking, the 4,700 stores that they have.
Yeah.
Or 4,600 stores that they have, and seeing them as local delivery nodes and not having to go the Amazon route of building distribution centers and all these kinds of things.
They already have
So
it.
they
They
already
already
have it.
have it.
It's there. It's so it makes complete sense to me.
Yeah.
And factoring in, not just the grid, but, real-time traffic data and everything else tied into that to, improve, these delivery routes and get stuff to people faster.
It is the hardest nut to crack, right? And we all know how reliant we are on delivery now, and convenience and speed work. Like, I mean, we're up here in Canada, and we have some great brands up here that are Canadian brands, and I'm not going to name them, but there's a point in time where it still is the fact is that you can order the same product in Amazon for cheaper and get it here faster than having a company just down the street, local, send it to you. And this is the challenge of making sure that not everything filters through Amazon as an e-commerce hub. We have to support our local stores and local employment. And Walmart is, I mean, it's not local to Canada. It is local in the sense that it employs thousands of Canadians and thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans. And I think that what we need to be able to do here is be serviced properly by these companies. And if you can't get the product, you'll find it somewhere else, and it's a loss for that company. So it's a big challenge. We're still trying to figure it out.
There
We're
you
watching
go.
this closely.
All right, on to our final story then for this week. We're going to talk about TikTok. Now, they are testing a new feature which integrates user-generated reviews directly into the comment section of videos featuring tagged locations. Um, Personally, I think this is super interesting. This is, trying to go head to head in some respects with platforms like Google Maps. By bringing this sort of review piece, into a tagged location video. The user base of TikTok is still growing. I think it goes after a very different demographic, obviously, than, sort of a wider Google Maps presence. So depending on the type of brand, that is using TikTok or has locations tagged in TikTok, this could be a good thing. I think from a TikTok point of view, you're essentially encouraging users to spend more time on the platform. You're reducing the need to switch from, out of TikTok into Google Maps to do certain things. I think it's unlike a traditional sort of review platform, you might be able to attract new users, that, are coming for a much more holistic offering than just a review that they might be seeking on Google. And I think from a brand perspective, it may lead to increased advertising opportunities, right? So, targeted advertising, by businesses or sponsored, content or reviews to specific demographics. So I think there's a lot happening here. I think also from a business point of view that might be on the platform, um, you might be able to look at this as a way to sort of get instant, insights on, on a customer experience, like, or encourage people who've just come to your store or your business to leave a review on TikTok and kind of post information there. So I think there's a lot of possibilities in terms of what you can do there. So I like it, and I think it's an interesting move by TikTok to kind of offer this capability.
How much of it like will be influenced by influencers? Like that's an interesting thing. Is that if you get the ear of the right influencer, or you pay the right influencer to juice your reviews, right? Does
Yeah.
that have an impact? Like I like it as well. We all businesses live or die by what seems like Google reviews, right? Like it becomes a mandatory requirement to ask for Google reviews, and it becomes a mandatory to ask for good Google reviews because it helps with your juice. But I do think that, in this world of agentic, AI, anything, search diminishes, and we're going to have to find a different way to reach customers and have them recommend whatever services or product or location. So I do like it as well. It just like Google in the early days, Google Maps, it will be rife with challenges to begin with, but then they'll get it right, or they'll get it gone. But I like it. I like it as well.
Yeah.
But just don't
There
tell
you
me I have to
go.
be on TikTok to get reviews, man, because I am too
Yeah, well, I'm
old.
not. I mean, I have to be honest. Like, I don't really use TikTok other than to see things that the kids have posted. Like, that's it. Like, I mean, I don't go on there for anything else.
No,
So, but anyhow,
no. I still learn the dances though. Like I think there was
there you
like
go. There you've got all the dances. Yeah. So, well, we'll see what the dance is for when the Ottawa Senators lose tonight. Yeah,
oh,
yeah. Let's see what that dance looks like.
there's no
So,
dance, man. There's no dance. It's like a slamming of the tablet down and go to bed angry. That's what
there
it
you
was
go.
like. That was what it was like when they lost in overtime.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well. Anyhow, that's our show for this week. You've been listening and watching episode number 713 of Location Weekly. We thank you for your time. Before I sign off, I do want to remind you that next week, on April the 29th, that's Tuesday, we will be in Chicago for our LBMA Retail Loco Conference. Rob's colleague, Alok from Trexity, will be one of the speakers on our last mile panel. We've got a closing keynote from Michelle Paczynski, who's the former head of digital innovation for Ulta Beauty, talking about lessons learned from there. We've got folks from True Classic, from Camping World, Good Sam. We've got a bunch of people from Digitas. So it'll be a great event. So if you're in Chicago or you can get to Chicago, reach out to me if you want to pass to join us on Tuesday, April 29th. We would love to see you. And otherwise, have a great week, and we'll be back with another show soon. Bye.
See you later.